I confess myself perplexed. I work in academia. I am a scientist. I don't have my diploma here because I don't give two craps about that crap. Um, Suffice it to say, no one keeps stacks of gloves in the corner who isn't in a scientific department at a university. But we have here a bunch of colleagues who are on the side of the medical community's effort to eradicate COVID. Now, it suddenly dawned on me today because they're talking about fourth boosters and such, that what they're trying to do is cause COVID to go extinct. That's the first part. They're trying to cause a species to go extinct. The second thing is does this make viruses living things? Now, according to the standard biological classroom definition of a living thing, viruses don't actually qualify. There are 6 major criteria. Can't remember exactly offhand what they are. But viruses don't meet all of them, ergo, because they're not made out of cells, ergo, they don't qualify as living things, except for they behave as if they were. Because if this virus really is mutating as we vaccinate people, or without regard for vaccinating people, it's because it's trying to survive, which is the point of every living cell, is to make a copy of itself so that it can make a copy of itself ad infinitum in perpetuity. So if viruses are alive, we will never get rid of it because it will have the desire to reproduce as well as the ability to make sure that it does. Because anything that is not competitive in this regard is eliminated ordinarily through natural selection. Which brings us to point number 3. I thought leftist liberals were against the extinction of any species. You will hear them ad nauseum, especially the last couple of weeks right before Christmas, talking about the polar bears and penguins and the prevention of cruelty to animals and all this other rot gut about preserving living organisms. And I did a video a while back on this competitive thing here in Nevada between some desert grass and a mineral. So there's going to be 2 competing groups, environmental groups, going to war, and the grass is going to lose because nobody knows what the grass is for. It probably is significant. It's probably what the rare Mount Charleston blue butterfly eats, and then we'll kill all the grass, then all the butterflies will die, and there'll be this cascading effect of extinction because we're too stupid to realize that everything we do affects everything else, even in ways we may not be able to see. And which brings us to the 4th point. Is it a good thing for man to eliminate coronavirus? Because we don't know if coronavirus is essential to our survival. I know that seems weird, but because everything does influence everything else, it's very possible that our survival as a species, not on an individual basis, is actually predicated upon coronavirus's existence as a family of viruses, not this particular one. So if we exterminate a member of that family, are we maybe threatening our own survival? So you take this back around to the now almost never talked about global climate change eradication argument with which we were berated ad nauseum before COVID appeared on the public discussions. And they're talking about doing to COVID what they are upset about oil companies doing to wildlife in Anwar. You can't drill in Anwar because it will decrease the deer population, but we can shove a needle in everybody's shoulder every year, every 6 months or whatever, to eradicate a virus. But of course, liberals are never bothered by hypocrisy, nor are they bothered by logic and extension of information. Now, I admit some of these arguments are a little bit hyperbolic, but there are questions that deserve to be answered before we simply haphazardly go around spending every bit of effort and money that we have trying to eliminate an entire species from the planet. Because this is a novel species. The Omicron variant is just a variant of the species, but there is this concerted effort, at least according to the dialogue, to cause a particular species to entirely go extinct. Now imagine if I were an oil company saying that. These very same people would be absolutely at Twitter about how atrocious that is. We're so self-serving. I'm surprised and a little bit shocked that COVID wasn't actually the pandemic that the news makes it out to be, and it didn't carve a huge swath through the human population. When George Carlin was here in Vegas doing his comedy routine, part of his routine, he said he's not worried about global warming or any of that because if humans become a threat to the planet, it will wipe them off like a bad case of fleas. Go look it up yourself. He wasn't wrong, I think. Despite not being a scientist, he was a pragmatist. And there's not much pragmatism, logic, or rational thinking going on in this because what they're essentially saying is kill the dodos. But the dodo in this case is coronavirus. Just something to think about, and something that dawned on me today in my musings since my staff meeting was canceled, and I got some unexpected free time. Whatever free time you have, whatever time you have left on this earth, make good choices. Do your own homework, do your own thinking. Don't listen to anyone, especially not on someone you don't know on the internet, as the final be-all, end-all of all information. But if someone asks questions, they've had a question, and maybe you should have it too. And if you find an answer, then you should share it, because that's how we all teach each other. I told someone last night at a church activity who said, aren't you smart because you're a teacher? I said, we're all teachers. I'm the only one who has to resort to using words. And he said, good point. It is a good point. You're all teaching each other. And you're all telling me lots of things about yourselves when you subscribe to asinine banalities without doing any of your own homework. Do your own homework. That's always good advice. Godspeed, stay healthy, and have a happy new year.